Hoi there, it's Skyward Shield. Welcome to a new Football Talks Power Rankings edition for Week 9. We're almost into the double digits. This is technically the halfway point for every team, practically, as everyone's has either hit or is about to hit 8 games of the season. So, now we're going through the power rankings, and well, there weren't that many shifts, to be honest. Not that many upsets, if not really. I can't think there was any that shifted the power rankings drastically. Although there were some a major rise and a major fall for some teams, so I think we still have that quota fulfilled at least. Anyway, let's start with Tier 4, teams 25 through 32, and well, the bottom is still the same most of the way. The bottom 4 are the same. However, the one thing to note with one of them is that the 49ers now have Jimmy Garoppolo, and well, I'm not sure if he'll start this week. I don't think he will. You just signed him. Unless that CJ guy gets injured. But it's not going to be fun for a 49ers fan waiting for this guy. I mean, to me, you could say, oh sure, that it's all good that he's going, so now the 49ers have hope. But to me, the thing is, if the Patriots were fine with giving him away for just a second round pick, something is wrong. I think the Jimmy G experience is actually over before it began. Who knows? Maybe I'm being cynical, but I've been of the belief that the Patriots cut you, you're done. Unless you are literally a transcendent player, which is very rare for them to do. Anyway, so next on the list, another team that has actually, well, this one has climbed a bit from 27 to 25. I didn't give them much of a boost, and I'll share why in a moment. But the Ravens, absolute spanking. You would think I would make them just hurtle their way into the top of Tier 3, but not so fast. I am not sure about Joe Flacco's status, as he got knocked out by the Dirty Dolphins and Kiko Alonso, and yet no fine because of nitpicking arguments of, oh, he barely slid by the time Kiko tried to hit him. That's not Kiko's fault. Ah, sure. I've seen players with less room to react get out of the way just fine. Don't give me that crap. And these players were bigger too. So no, thank you. I'm not buying into any of that. But the Ravens got a really needed win. They are perhaps the best team in this Tier 4, obviously, by far. They're the best 4-4 in this side of the block, which that sounds hard to say, and that almost sounds like an oxymoron, I know. But to me, the Ravens are a bit of a Jenga piece. While their game is not on my 5 games to watch this week, I still think it could easily be. It's an easy 6. It could easily sneak in there. We'll see. I'll make a bit of a note of it right now. So this week the Ravens play the Titans, I believe, and that will be interesting for one reason. Can the Titans actually show up? They don't. They've been so inconsistent. And they too feel like a 4-4 team. If not for the bye week, I'm pretty sure they would be 4-4. So we'll see. Anyway, so now let's just move on into Tier 3 because I can't see anything else at Tier 4. And to be honest, I don't like being on this side anymore. I'm done already. So teams 17 through 24. We have the Jets at the bottom. The Jets are just, I don't know, man. They had a chance to take this one away. They dropped only 1 spot. I try to be a little nice to them, but I feel like they could have stolen that game, but they dropped it. I understand the weather was a hassle, but you had to give up that one in a big spot. Another thing, the Bears also dropped only 1 spot just because that loss was a little bit heartbreaking, but also I really like their defense. Their defense did what they could to hold down the Saints' dynamic offense, but at the end of the day, Mitch Trubisky could not save them as much as another rookie quarterback ever could. But we'll get to him later. Anyway, the sharpest drop of the week by far has to go to the Dolphins, the Dirty Dolphins, with their Kiko Alonso shot. But don't worry, I didn't bring him down for that. I brought him down because you didn't put up any points at all. You didn't do anything on offense. Where was that? Matt Moore just got manhandled. I say this same question, like, you know how I say, who's the deadliest receiver? The one that's wide open. The same case can apply for this. Who's the deadliest defensive player? Oh, the one that's open and running towards the quarterback. I mean, I guess the Dolphins kind of forgot what happened I kind of forgot what they did to the Jets last year, like at the end of last season, where they had like Cameron Wake and Ndamukong Suh not even being attempted to be blocked as they just sandwich. Who was it again? I forgot the kid's name. Oh well, he was the Penn State quarterback that everyone's like, is Bill O'Brien gonna get him? That guy, I think that was that guy. Either way. Also, a little bit of credit. I didn't put them up too much. I only brought them up 4 spots, but good job, Cincy. You didn't blow that game. You were choking. You were giving a game to the Colts, but in the end of the day, you took it. Your defense helped you win, and that's promising because Bill Lazor did his job a little bit, but the defense needed to step up, and you couldn't ask for anything better. Not only did you turn the ball over when it mattered, but you also turned it into a pick 6. Good job. We'll see if you keep it up because your schedule is not going to get easy. Anyway, Detroit is at the same spot. I really wanted to drop them more, but to be honest, I'm kind of torn between who's worse, between the Lions and the Dolphins, because the Lions got into the end zone 5 times, 482 yards, but only field goals? Come on, man. They didn't even get into the end zone once. A bit of praise for the Steelers and why they're my number 2 team, which I'll get to. I might as well say their piece because I don't think there's much to say when I get to that point, the tier 1. But the Steelers' bend but don't break system was perfect. They gave up points, sure, but they didn't give a single touchdown. Even one touchdown would have changed the tone of the whole game. So, good job on you, Pittsburgh. Bad job by Detroit. Jim Bob Cooter. What you doing, buddy? What are you doing? Anyway, Chargers. I really also want to drop them more, but same shit. It's the same problem with this. The all-encompassing fallacy with this list. There are all these teams that deserve to be this number or this tier, but you can't fit them all because you only have 32 spots, and each spot is special, I guess. So at the end of the day, that's too bad. Anyway, they have the derp moment of the week with Travis Benjamin channeling his inner Cleveland Brown because once you're a Cleveland Brown, always a Cleveland Brown, and just running into his own end zone when doing a punt return and getting a safety. Nice job, buddy. Anyway, on to Tier 2, teams 9 through 16. And, well, the Falcons are my biggest rise. While the Dolphins were the biggest drop from last week, from 13 to 19 with 6, the Falcons, I believe, are the biggest riser. They went from 21 to 16. I could have put them higher over the Titans, but I just couldn't tell, and I just picked the Titans out of respect for their bye week. But anyway, the Falcons, I also didn't want to put them up a little higher because I still don't trust their coaching now. I am not sure what the hell is going on with them. They could have easily choked that game. It felt like they were derping around for half a game, but they still won ultimately, so I gave them the boost that they deserved. But I wouldn't be surprised if they drop this one to Carolina and then bam, they're back where they're back where they started from last week. We'll get to Carolina in a moment, but I did bring the Cowboys up only 2 spots. I would have put them higher, but the thing was, and I know they should be higher than Washington, which in hindsight I should probably move that. In fact, yeah, let me move that. I thought I put them worse. There we go. There we go. Looks nice. That's the first time you're gonna ever see a mid change in the middle of a video. A little embarrassing, but I'll bite the bullet because Washington should be lower because they're just too injury riddled. I think they're gonna get Josh Norman in a week or so, which is good. All their injured players are gonna start returning, but they couldn't come at a later time because this week is gonna get even worse for Washington. As for the Cowboys, they'd be higher, but I only gave them 3 spots now. But Zeke is probably going to be gone for the year. I swear to God, if he somehow is able to play again. We just keep saying, oh, he's done. No, he's not. Oh, he's done. No, he's not. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. Because I'm getting tired of it. Just take the suspension, man, because unlike unlike Deflategate, they can't exactly prove it. Well, unlike Deflategate, both cases you can't exactly prove much in terms of actions. But Deflategate was just bullshit to begin with in terms of Goodell having to be both the judge, the jury, and basically the investigation team that was so rigged against Tom Brady from the start. This one was mostly done by the cops beforehand, before the NFL stepped in. So, you know what I mean? How they were done is different. I think in this case, this is even harder to win for Zeke than it was for Tom Brady. But Tom Brady still won his ring anyway, so fuck you, Goodell. Anyway, Jags, I guess they moved up 2 spots only because of bye. I know some people have moved them up from like 13 into the top 10, or not 13. I've seen someone go from 15 to the top 10. It's like, boy, they shouldn't be that high. Just because, like, did they dominate their bye week? Can you win a bye week? I don't think so. So you don't go up that much for bye week teams, unless a lot of factors come in, like say other teams rise or drop. I typically never want to move them more than 1 or 2 spots. Maybe 3, but 3 usually happens if other teams just drop to push them up, or in the other case where it goes down, a team went up so much, or teams went up so much, they had to drop 3. Anyway, question is, why the hell are the Texans the same spot? I even tweeted I promised I was going to drop them 3 spots. I was going to drop them to 16. I thought, to be fair, I thought they were still the 13th spot. I still thought they were the 13th ranked team. However, they did make some moves, although we're not getting Jeremy Lane, but the Dwayne Brown trade happened now, and to be honest, I kind of understand why he went. Now he's going to probably get a ring because the Seahawks are looking to be my Super Bowl favorite for the NFC side, at least. I know you could say Philly, but to be Philly, what they're doing now doesn't mean shit until they go into the postseason, and they're going to start playing some real playoff teams as well. Wait till they play the Seahawks. That is what might very well be the NFC Championship preview. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. The Texans' offense looks amazing. They made the Legion of Boom look like a bitch half the time. The other times, Watson made killer mistakes, which I really wanted to blame him more, but the defense, the secondary, just said, hold my beer, as they moved out of the way. Zach Cunningham, why didn't you cover Jimmy Graham? If Jimmy Graham's uncovered, he's not a bust. At that point, he just needs to literally catch the ball with no resistance. What's wrong with you? What is wrong with the Texans secondary? And these are most of the players returning. Kareem Jackson is like falling off a cliff faster than Darrelle Revis. Jonathan Joseph was perhaps the only good corner. I know Kevin Johnson was just coming back, so he's not feeling 100%. He'll get better, hopefully. But come on, man. If I had known Dwayne Brown was going to do this shit, if I was a GM, I would have just cut his ass or traded him right away and just re-signed AJ Bouye, because I miss him. And he's with the Jags, who are hot on the Texans' heels, for at least in this power rankings. Anyway, Carolina back into the top 10. It wasn't a pretty win against the Bucs, but it was only up 2 spots, and now you're in top 10. You're in the top 10 status, which is good. Good for Carolina. They're coming back into form a little bit. The question is, how will they do, which we'll find out later, I suppose. Buffalo still at number 9. It's really hard for me to put them over the Saints. The good news is these two are going to play at some point. I don't think they've played yet, so lucky for us, we're going to find out which of these is better. But for now, I'm going to give the edge to the Saints because their defense is playing pretty good as well. I think the Buffalo defense is clearly better, but the Saints defense is still feisty enough, while I think the Saints offense is better than the Bills defense. So we'll see. Anyway, next up, the Vikings beat the Browns. Oh, come on. You want me to push you up into the top 5 because you beat the Browns when you were trailing for half the game? Nah. If anything, I could drop you, but I'm not because you're still winning games. And it was convincing at the end. But to be fair, the Browns just Brownsed. Anyway, so now, like I should have said it sooner, but now we're in Tier 1, just as I mentioned the Saints, and move up. But everything's the same. I feel no reason, because this week was so stable, mostly. I was considering dropping the Seahawks because of the Legion of Boom, but I know people have the Rams ranked higher than the Seahawks, but to me, I just prefer Russell Wilson over Jared Goff right now. I prefer the Seattle defense a little bit more than the Rams. Also, the Rams did lose to the Seahawks, and I still think that's important to note. I know I've contradicted myself on this with some things on the list, but at the very least, for these top ones, the win over another team if they played each other matters a lot, which again, there's another contradiction. The Patriots over the Chiefs. Sure, the Chiefs won, but I did not see the entire game, but from the stuff that you didn't see in highlights, apparently the Chiefs did not make the win look as convincing as the box score will have you know. And here's the best part. The Broncos are going to start Brock Osweiler against the Eagles. So yeah, not fun at all. Now, to me, my top two are still the same. Like I mentioned, Pittsburgh's bend but don't break. To me, right now, unless the Patriots really get their act together, and that's because they lost Dante Hightower, I'm waiting for the Patriots to show an actual sign of slipping off. But for now, they look good. And the Steelers, if they beat the Patriots come that week where they host them later in the year, I have my AFC pick, especially if they secure home field advantage. To me, it's going to be a race between the Chiefs and the Steelers. I'm doubting the Patriots right now, but I'm really only doubting the Patriots defense. I'm not faulting Tom Brady at all. Anyway, number one still Philly, but you beat the 49ers. Come on, do you really need me to give you praise for that? I know it's hard to win any NFL game, but you beat the 49ers. This was perhaps your easiest win on the schedule. This was a guaranteed W. If it wasn't, I would consider packing it in for the season. But good job, Philly. You won, and you got Jay Ajayi for a 4th-round pick. That's so brutal. For a 4th round only, you could probably get a 3rd round or more out of him. Okay, so I forgot to mention the Dwayne Brown trade again, that one detail. So Jeremy Lane is not going to the Texans because he failed a physical. So the Texans have to send a 5th-round pick as well this year, and they're going to receive this year's. I think they're going to get a 4th-round pick. No, a 3rd-round pick, and then the year after, a 2nd-round pick. I believe that's what I read. So I might have the years wrong, but that's how this year we should be getting whatever. Oh well. I'm confusing myself. Oh well. Anyway. Everything looks hunky-dory at the top, in Tier 1, or the top 10 really, save for Carolina. The only spot that has any bit of chaos is the 10 spot. I mean, the Texans can win, and the Panthers could falter, and maybe the Jags too, and guess what? The Texans are a top 10 team. But anyway, enough of that. Let's look at the 5 games to note this week. So, first game on the list. This one's a little surprising for some, but I like to throw these curveballs at you. Buffalo at New York. Well, the Jets, to be specific. A division rival game, a rematch from what happened week 1, except this time it's not in Orchard Park, it is in MetLife. I'm going with Buffalo for this one. However, if the Jets win, this really changes everything and the Jets look frisky again. But the Jets are tanking like they're supposed to, if you ask me, in their #ScamForSam movement. But we'll see. This one should be interesting. Buffalo looks feisty, but they've been playing at home, and Buffalo and the Bills Mafia play much better, or act much better at home than they do on the road, so we'll see how they do this time. My second game to note, another one, a bit of a curveball, you could say, at least for the sake of the Bengals. Bengals at Jags. Now, according to the Farmer's Almanac, the Jags should bomb this week. I may have picked them, but that's because I want to believe they break that streak. But if they drop this one, again, it's what I say. The Jags are on to be the most dominant 8-8 team in history, which we'll see if this holds out. But I'm gonna go Jacksonville on this one, but I won't be surprised at all if they drop this one to Cincy. Anyway, third game to note: Atlanta at Carolina. This one was one of those games you highlighted for the beginning of the year. This one should be interesting because Carolina is back into form a little bit, and Atlanta is struggling to get back into form. Carolina has the home field advantage, and that's why I picked them, but this one can go either way. Notice I have a bit of a few toss-ups actually. Anyway, fourth game to note: KC at Dallas. The Chiefs are in a really good spot now. They've staggered a bit, but now they play a soft Dallas defense whose secondary is not that impressive. Now, to be fair, at least among the Texas teams, the Cowboys played better this week, but now they're going to play a real offense. You got to go up against Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt, two of the fastest players, if not the fastest in the league. Have fun with that. The Cowboys front seven is going to really be strained, because if they can't get to Alex Smith or stop Kareem Hunt, it's going to be a long day for Dallas fans. And the worst part is no Zeke. No Zeke likely this week, although who knows, maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe by the time I finish this recording, turns out he's out again. Anyway, so there you go. In Game 5, my 5th game to note that is going to be interesting is Monday Night Football. What, did you think I was going to go like Oakland and Miami? No. Okay, I thought the Broncos Giants one was bad, but at least one of the teams at the time looked like a playoff contender. Now neither were, but you know. At the very least, this one will be interesting because this is also a toss-up. I want to say Detroit can win this, but they seem to be allergic to the end zone. And this is if this was in Detroit, I wouldn't maybe put this up here. I would rather put something else like Baltimore and Tennessee. But because this is in Lambeau and the Packers are coming off a bye, they have a chance. They've caught the Lions at a bad time. The Lions are just not doing anything. Like, the Lions look like they're on pace for 7-9 or worse. The Lions really need this win because they need to stay in the division race, or at the very least try and get a wild card, because the Vikings are running away with this thing, and that's because they don't even have a defined quarterback. Either way, this one should be interesting. I'm going to be watching this Monday Night Football game just to see if the Lions can actually get their shit together. But anyway, that'll do it for this week. Tune in next week for week 10 because we're hitting the double digits for the weeks for the season, and yeah. If you agree or disagree with some of the spots here, or some of the comments I've said, feel free to put it in the comment section below. Just don't be a dick about it. Feel free to share your thoughts, but just, you know, put it in a nicer way. You can keep the discussion going in the comment section below, and yeah, I'll see you guys in another video.